Boom! Alright, this is what happened last night during the Timothy Brandon Rios fight. You want to know the differences? Brandon Rios has a coach, a person that makes sure that when he comes into the gym, he's going to train, he's going to work, he's going to make sure that he gets through that day. He's going to be accountable for the things that he does in that ring. He's going to make sure he gets bag work. He's going to make sure he gets ring work. He's going to make sure that he gets the run in. Now Teddy Atlas is a teacher. He's going to make sure that the skill set that's necessary for his fighter to know, that he's going to make sure that he takes the exam after he studies and studies and works and works and puts in the repetition after repetition. He's going to make sure that this boy is ready for his final exam prior to the night of the fight. Is he slipping off right? Whenever he gets in a sticky situation, is he able to utilize the ring? Is his ring set, skill set up to date? Will he be able to pass this test on top of prior to the fight, but the night of the fight? Those questions are already answered whenever you're dealing with teachers. That's why you have such successful teachers, and coaches are usually on an up and down spiral. Teachers are very selective about their students. They make sure that they don't just have a bunch of guys that could go to a D2 school up in Ivy League, because teachers want to polish those who are qualified as students. Trainers, anyone that comes into a gym and wants to work with a coach / trainer who has the ability to also do the physical component with the fighter, you're basically being a part of a regimen. So it's more about the trainer / coach than it is the fighter. Like I said, when you compare these three, it's not a question who will come out on top if they all clash. So prior to this post, I made a comparison on what the difference is going to be. Go right to the channel if you missed it, and it's going to be teachers, and Teddy Atlas is the teacher. The key is being in a forum or a setting where you got to go to battle. You want to know what you have been doing or necessary to do. Unlike Timothy Bradley had before, and Coach Joel Diaz is solid. He's a great coach. He has all the criteria to be a great coach. He can get you to those titles. But one thing that is evident in a fighter like a Timothy Bradley and the guys like Sean Porter, and you have Keith one-time Thurman, one thing about those guys is they don't just want to be great fighters. They want to be exceptional students of the game. When Mike Tyson was young, he wanted to be a student of the game. You look at guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, who came into the sport of boxing with an inept ability to throw flurries, offensive cachet, a serious defensive prowess, ring generalship. He was the welterweight version of Muhammad Ali, all rolled up into one. But one thing that he did better, he smiled for the camera, and he also had that flash, that sizzle, so he was marketable. These things are put to note when you look at these fighters. Brandon Bam Bam Rios with his coach Robert Garcia. Like I said, Robert Garcia is a great coach. He can take a guy who doesn't know how to box or know how to fight. He can take him to a championship level. You can count on that. But that's one thing that he can do. Well, there are certain fighters that have the hunger to constantly be educated, like the Bernard Hopkins. When you have Nassim Richardson, who's a pugilist mind, listen to him speak. He's well spoken and he's highly educated. He's a recipient of knowledge, and that's exactly what these guys are looking for. The guys that I name. You got the guys like Adrien Broner who want to be able to have the same cachet as a Floyd Mayweather. He wants to be the Muhammad Ali. He wants to be brash. He wants to be vocal. He wants to have that entire presence in the ambiance when he steps into the room. But he wanted to take it before he had all the education that was necessary for him to get to that level, because he has a coach. And I'm not knocking his coach, but he needs a teacher. A teacher will elevate him. Floyd Mayweather had a teacher. You know why? Because his father learned a lot in that ring when he was growing up, because he fought, and he fought against the best, and he knew at that time what it took and where he was short, and he made sure that he taught his son all the disciplines and all the necessities. And he does have a high IQ when it comes to the sport of boxing. I don't think in the corner he's as educated as some of the other coaches. Because if you listen to a Nassim Richardson in the corner, if you listen to the Virgil Hunters in the corner, if you listen to Teddy Atlas in the corner, they are telling the guys how to execute certain things. And he's just saying do it. Because it's hard working corners. It's hard to be in that corner and see what you guys see on television, like I said once before. This is not the same vision. It's not the same view. You got two athletic guys or two fighters, and the difference is very, very, let's say, the difference is nearly invisible, opposed to when you're sitting back watching it on TV with the camera view at an 80 degrees. It's a total different thing. So you have to understand who you need. What type of a person are you? When you fill out that application, what are you signing up for? Are you just signing up for, because some people's Super Bowl is just to get to a title shot. Some people are here for that because it doesn't define them, so they can succeed in other areas. Whereas some people who have just ingrained themselves into the victory lane in one thing. You got Tom Brady's of the world, who just constantly win Super Bowl ring, appear in Super Bowls. He's the deal when it comes down to that. And trying to ask a guy like Brandon Rios to have the disciplinary to be a student is just like asking a guy like Peyton Manning not to win. You have to understand, when a person shows you who they are, you have to believe them. Adrien Broner is a brash kid. He wants that for himself, but he also wants other things. He wants to pimp boxing, but boxing doesn't define him, and he's trying to show you that when he shows you in a nightclub collecting money in videos about billions. And I'm using Adrien Broner because he's one of the more polarizing boxers in this time and era, and you can identify with him because of some of the things that he does for the camera, or lack thereof the camera, for his last fight, because he knew he needed to get serious before he got booted out of the sport of boxing, because the other guys are coming for real. The Danny Garcias of the game, the Terrence Crawfords, the Keith Thurmans, Sean Porters. He was in the ring with Sean Porter. So we're going to segue this thing back to the beginning. The teacher as in Teddy Atlas, someone who came up under the tutelage of a Customato. I feel great because Customato has ingrained himself in the sport of boxing of the highest IQ that has ever lived, or someone who's been qualified as greatness. He's had world champions 40 years apart. Who else can say that? It's not a lot of guys. Maybe Angelo Dundee, rest in peace. But teachers are just much better. They make you believe in yourself better. You have an opportunity to become something in many other lanes other than boxing. If you look at the Timothy Bradley from last night, that's not a guy that can easily be beat, because he has the physical capability and the wherewithal to execute anything that any coach out there could ask of him. Prior to camp, staying in shape, came into shape came into camp in total shape, because you don't go to camp to lose weight. That's the first strike against you. Ask Bernard Hopkins, one of the greatest to ever do it. When you get there, your agenda is to be taught the things that you are not perfect at. And in our world, perfect is average. So don't come over here thinking that below average is acceptable. Not. So Teddy Atlas takes those necessary things and he ingrains them into that fighter, making sure that there will not be any sticky points the night of the fight. And last night, what you saw was an absolute domination of a guy being taught and a guy being coached. Had nothing to do with the fighters. What those guys experienced prior to the fight said and led up to everything that happened. Brandon Rios being stopped. Pacquiao couldn't even get him out of there. That's the difference between fighters being with coaches or trainers and fighters being with teachers. Teddy Atlas taught Timothy Bradley how to stop the fighter with that step off, uppercut to the solar plex. Just ingrained. He basically laid out the blueprint of the former great coach and teacher, Cus D'Amato. Peekaboo style, peeling it off, executing it in the ring, under the lights on HBO premium television. I can only tilt my hat to those guys. And I'm glad that you guys tuned in to watch this. But this is the premise of something that's coming even greater. The podcast to keep you guys up and date and informed on what's going on in the boxing world. Breaking the fight world down with my boys over at BrooklynFights.com. Be sure to go out to that page because they're getting it popping as well on a regular basis, keeping you up and to date with everything that's going on in the sport of boxing. Great writers, great insight. It's going down. So continue to follow us, subscribe, because I'll give you the date, and the name of the podcast. And if you can come up with a good name for this boxing podcast that's going to be so educational and so informed, you'll get a free year to the online boxing training camp, because these are the type things we teach. What you saw against the Timothy Bradley, we teach that online, videos daily. So come up with a good name. Put it down in the comment box. Speak about what you think about this post. Coaches versus teachers. Who falls up under the coach category? Who falls up under the teachers category? My name is Eric Bradley. They call me the Fight Doctor, and I thank you guys for watching. You're watching Master Boxing. And this is where we break the fight world down, my friend. Round by round. Shouts out to my boys over at BrooklynFights.com. Congratulations, Teddy Atlas and Timothy Bradley. Welcome to the game at 147 once again. Peace.